So you've started collecting records and building your vinyl setup, and now you're wondering which turntables, preamps, receivers, and speakers you should go with. Well, today I'm going to show you all the gear that I have in my setup back here that allows me to play records, CDs, and cassettes, and hopefully by watching this, it'll help you to build your setup as well. So if you like this video, then be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Okay, so first off, my turntable is the Fluence RT85. Now, I absolutely love this turntable, and it's the best one that I've ever had. Before I upgraded to this one, I had the Fluence RT81, and my very first turntable was the Audio-Technica LP120. Now, those are both great as well, but now that I've got this one, I just can't see myself going back. The 85 has an acrylic platter, so I don't even need a record mat. I can just pop my records down directly on the platter, which is really convenient. It also has 3 adjustable isolation feet, which are kind of like little shock absorbers, and they allow me to get the whole turntable perfectly level, which is cool. And finally, it also came standard with an Ortophon 2M Blue cartridge, which did sound great. But then, when one of our viewers on the channel, Rod Rogers, graciously sent over the Ortophon 2M Black at the P.O. box, I had to test it out, and man, the sound quality is just unreal. So overall, this turntable is awesome, and you should definitely check it out. Now, moving on to the preamp, I have the Project Tube Box DS2, which uses vacuum tubes to achieve a very natural hi-fi sound. This thing is definitely not for everyone because the price is so prohibitively expensive, but if you do decide to get it, you're really not going to regret it. This thing works with both moving magnet and moving coil cartridges, which is nice, and it also gives you the option to connect up to 2 turntables or 2 separate tone arms on the same turntable, if you have like one of those fancier turntables that has that feature. So this preamp is very versatile, and it has a bunch of buttons and a knob on the front, so you can dial in the perfect settings for your specific cartridges. So I had to actually look up the correct settings for the Ortophon 2M Black, and now that it's dialed in perfectly, I pretty much just turn it on and it remembers everything that I set. So I really like this preamp, and I think it pairs very well with the turntable. Now, moving on to the receiver, I have the Yamaha RS201. They don't make this model anymore. They've replaced it with the RS202, which has Bluetooth included. This one does not, but it's cool because I don't really stream music on this setup. Most of the time, I'm either playing a record, a CD, or a cassette. So this one works out perfectly for me. So I chose a receiver in my setup instead of active powered speakers because I knew from the get-go that I wanted to connect a bunch of different stuff, and a receiver would allow me to do that. So it's got 4 RCA line inputs total, and right now I'm only using 3. So if I wanted to add like an 8-track player down the road, then I could definitely do that. So yet again, this is why I like receivers. They let you connect a bunch of different stuff, which is cool. Now, moving on, we have the various peripherals that I have plugged into that receiver. So first off, we have the Sony KA1ES cassette deck, which I picked up on eBay several years ago and is from 1995, but still looks and functions great. So this is my main cassette player when I'm in the studio, but if I'm in my bedroom or something like that, then I'll usually use my Walkman. So overall, what I like about this deck is that it has great sound. It plays all 3 types of cassette tapes, ferric, chrome, and metal, and has Dolby B, C, and S noise reduction. So I get a lot of use out of it, and I'm just really glad I bought it. Now, moving on, we have the CD player, which is actually a DVD player, the Panasonic DVD S700, which I use to play CDs. And the reason I do that is because it basically functions the exact same way as a CD player, and it also gives me the extra option to play DVD audio discs if I wanted to do that. So that's kind of nice. Now, currently, the only DVD audio disc that I have in my collection is my 7-hour Robert Rich Somnium album. but if I want to add more in the future, it's nice to know that I'll be able to play them on this DVD player. Now, I also have this remote that came with it, and since the player has no readout on the front panel, I recently discovered that if I press the repeat button 3 times, I can loop the entire CD that I'm playing over and over again. So, as you can see, I made myself a little note right here on the back so I don't forget. So, you know, it's kind of nice to just listen to a CD on a loop forever. You know what I mean? Now, moving on to the speakers, we have the Klipsch RP150M passive speakers. So these are connected directly to the Yamaha receiver using some 16 gauge Amazon Basics speaker wire, and they sound amazing. I love these things. And as many of you already know by now, when it comes to hooking up speakers, if you have a receiver in your vinyl audio setup, you have to go with passive speakers. But if you only want to play records, then you could just forget the receiver entirely and hook up a pair of active speakers, which have the amplifier inside, directly to your turntable, provided your turntable has a built-in preamp. So it's really up to you as far as what setup you want to go with. Like I said, I wanted a receiver to hook up a bunch of different things, so I had to go the passive speaker route, but overall, the Klipsch speakers are awesome, and they have a very accurate reference quality sound that I really enjoy. I love them every time I fire them up. Now, last of all, I also have a flexible head LED desk lamp from Oxy LED, which I basically just use to give me a little extra light on my turntable so I can see where I'm dropping the needle. And finally, I have a 16.5-inch deep wooden 45 singles crate from Mile Long Records on Etsy, which I use to store my very small 45 singles collection and all my favorite CDs. So if you've ever wondered what's inside that wooden crate that's behind me in all the videos, it's mostly ambient CDs. As you can see, I'm a huge fan of Robert Rich. Now, before we go, today's song of the day is Bulletproof Soul by Sade. Great song. And if you have a suggestion for a song of the day as well, post in the comments down below, and you might see it in a future video. Alright, so that's all the stuff I have in my setup, but what gear do you have in your setup? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, yet again, feel free to subscribe and hit that little bell so you won't miss out on any new videos. And most importantly of all, have a fantastic day, stay safe, and keep spinning that vinyl.